Happy June. Holy crap. But this video is about May 2023. So much to discuss. As you can see by the title, I have my first ever deck haul portion to my video. I could have made a separate deck haul, but I was like, it's part of my May, so it's going in the same video. So if I manage to capture you in with the title, the deck haul portion of the video is going to be in the chapters. So you can skip ahead and check out I think there was 8 total that I purchased or acquired in May. So I end up switching. I'm going to do a top down just because it's easier to do a top down when you're talking about so many decks. So that's going to be in here at some point. I have yet to decide where I'm putting it. But then we also have a bunch of other stuff to discuss. So buckle up. I'm sitting and I've already filmed. Okay, all right, you caught me. Busted. I already filmed my deck portion. It's already been filmed. I just don't know where I'm putting it. And I did mention this in the deck portion where like I bought now with this mic you probably can't even hear it, but I bought a picnic blanket that's like plastic on the underside so that you can like if the I almost said if the damp is grass. If the grass is damp, you won't get wet. But it sounds like you're wearing a diaper. So I promise you I'm not. First things first, very beginning of May, I met up with Thea and Garden Goddess Tarot, and we went to a used bookstore. And it was a great time. We accidentally ended up hanging out like the entire evening. It was supposed to be just like a couple of hours, and I like practically moved in for the night. I feel so bad, but it was so much fun. But we went to a used bookstore, and I found, and I've been posting about this on my Instagram. If you know, you know, and it's not gonna be a big deal for you guys, but I found this book. It's called The Mammoth Book of Paranormal Romance. It's 24 short stories from the hottest names. This book, okay, it's big, but it's super simple to read because it's a bunch of short stories. You can see like I'm not very far into it, but that's because I'm not like fully like reading this every single night, although I might have to because someone has asked if they can borrow it, which is also weird. But I'm just kind of like I bring it with me. It's just like in my work bag, and if I'm on lunch and I just feel like being lazy and not going anywhere, doing anything, I don't have any lunch plans, I'll just like sit at my desk and read one of the short stories. So that's why I'm only like this far into it, because with the weather getting nicer, you're going out for walks, you're doing things, whatever. This is I want to say it's my first experience with romance novels. I did read 50 Shades of Grey, but like, and I didn't finish it because honestly, I couldn't stand the writing style. No hate, but I just couldn't. But I feel like I knew what I was getting into with 50 Shades of Grey. This, I did not. And it's quite spicy. The last 2 stories that I've read have not been spicy at all, but there's a couple that I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm like at my work desk reading this. But anyway, so this is really funny. It was regularly like $5, but it was half price because Thea lumped it in with what she bought, and if you bought other things, it was half price. So it was $2.50 for this joyous book. It's honestly just hilarious. I think it's so funny. Every time I read something, I have to Google what some of the monsters are because I didn't know what a Selkie was. And a Selkie is actually in one of the decks that I show later on. I don't know if I actually show the card, but it's in one of the decks. Anyway, that's been really fun. And the hangout was awesome. It's so nice to connect with tarot people in person. It's just, I don't know, something inside me comes alive when it happens. And of course, with Thea, like when she talks tarot, I'm honestly just like the entire time. Like I feel like I just want to absorb everything that she's saying, all of her tarot knowledge. I just want to like give it all to me. So it was a lot of fun. Then what else did I do? I went to my friend's cottage, and it was supposed to be, well, it was just myself, her, and her husband. So I did bring a couple decks along with me. I brought the regular plaidback RWS, and I brought the Game of Thrones tarot. Had I known what was about to happened, I would have brought more decks, or different decks at least. Um, if things look a little different, that's because they are. I just got back from a walk where I fully changed my clothes. I had my hair in a ball cap. Um, and I came back and I started editing my video and I realized there's an entire chunk that's just not there. Don't know what happened. And at first I was just going to ignore it. And then I realized the chunk was bigger than I thought it was. So here we are, we're back. I fixed my hair, I put my earrings back on, I put my outfit back on, and lighting's a little different, but whatever. So what I was saying was I brought a couple tarot decks to my friend's cottage. And the reason that I brought them was because I had done a pick a card video the week prior to this. And it was a career one, which I'd never done before. I've never done a career reading in any type of capacity. So my friend picked her card and did not like her pile. She later explained to me that the pile was insanely accurate, and that's why she didn't like it. So she asked me to bring a tarot deck to her cottage to do another reading. So that's why I just packed an RWS and the Game of Thrones tarot. What I didn't know was that the neighbors also came over, and it's just a couple. It's a woman and her husband, or her partner, and I didn't realize I'd be reading for a party of four because I actually ended up reading for the men as well, which was also interesting. The neighbor's partner was super into it. Not super, but he was into it, which was kind of cool. So like he was asking questions and whatever. A lot of it centered around career. All of these people are I don't want to say they're career driven, but career is a big part of their lives at the moment. So a lot of their readings centered around that. But if I would have known that that would have been the setting or there would have been those types of people, I would have picked different decks. Doesn't matter. But I also wanted to throw it out to the community. And I mean, if you're reading for the public, you're obviously not drinking. But so this particular day when I was reading, I had a Caesar in the morning. It's like a Canadian Bloody Mary, but with clam juice, donuts. Question. It's delicious. That's all you need to know is it's delicious. It sounds disgusting, but it's not. And we dress it with like bacon and pickles and anyway, I had one that morning, and this particular day we were chopping wood and stacking wood and all that kind of stuff. So I'd had a morning Caesar, but then throughout the day I was drinking water because it was hot and I was working, whatever. So I was not. It was fine. Like I wasn't drinking whatever, but they were drinking. But it just got me thinking, like, how would I handle reading and drinking? Like, if I was at a girls' night and I had some drinks, and then people were like, "Bust your cards out," as they do. I don't I don't know how I would feel about that. I mean, I feel like you're not of right sound in mind, even if you're a little bit tipsy. Like, I'm not saying smashed. I don't get smashed, but if I've had 3 or 4 drinks, like that's enough. That's kind of like my limit. So yeah, I don't. How do you guys handle that? Like, do you read at all when you're drinking, or how do you deal with that? That was one question that I had for the masses. And then the other thing that I talked about was my little spread book. So this also came in handy at the cottage because I really struggle to put tarot questions into words. So the neighbor actually had a job interview the following Monday, which is like this was Saturday and her job interview was on Monday. So she was like, "How's my job interview gonna go?" I don't I don't know. Like, how do you put that into? Or I think it was more like, "Am I gonna get the job?" That was her question. So I was like, I don't know how to put that into a question. So anyway, this book came in handy. It got passed around. The men didn't so much care for this, but the 2 women that were there did. This was actually one that the one lady wanted me to do, the coping with burnout. So her and I did that. A lot of people pick that one actually. It's a pretty popular one. But this, yeah, so this, if you don't know what I'm talking about, I just kind of printed some Pinterest spreads and I keep them in this book. And when I go read tarot at friends' houses or if I go away for the weekend, I bring this book with my tarot cards so that I have something to work with when people ask tarot questions. And I'm like, I don't know. Now the back of the book, I keep just like a stockpile of like just questions, not so much spreads, but questions. So most people don't seem to like, I don't know if they don't know it's there because it's at the back. I don't know. But anyway, this did come in handy yet again. So this has been a lifesaver as far as reading for friends goes. If you're a beginner, you don't read for public, you just kind of like play for yourself, read for yourself, um, and you go over to a friend's house and they inevitably are like, get the cards out. What do the cards say? This is a great idea. Just print some like pretty common like here's a clearing your head. There's self love. There's 3 card spreads regarding the self. Something's crawling on me. Um, what do I need to do to relax? Another self love one. Release, begin, sustain. For one for balance, one for addiction, another one for balance. How not to be single AF. So you got ghosted. These are actually like I don't have single friends, but if I did, I feel like these would be very popular. So yeah, just like cool. What is he or she thinking? We did that one on the weekend, and that was actually nerve wracking because the cottage neighbor female asked what her partner was thinking, and he was sitting right there, and I was like, well, he's thinking this. I was like, what if something bad comes up? I can't like say that. So that was a little bit awkward. I just kind of like made jokes about it, whatever. And then there's like some fun ones, like the Mean Girls spread. I threw that in there. There's a Dirty Dancing one on that same page. None of your business, Salt and Pepper. Will I get that D? There's a Letterkenny one. There is a Buffy one. No one really does these ones though. Anyway, this came in really handy. Oh my gosh, there's a dove nest right there. So I think that was it for the chunk that went missing. I know I said some other stuff. I went into some more detail, but oh, Bumblebee, hello. I get distracted when I film outside. Like, there's so many things happening. Okay, back to what I looked like before I went for a sweaty walk. And it was funny because the Game of Thrones fan wanted the plaidback RWS, and the person who'd never seen an episode of Game of Thrones in her life wanted the Game of Thrones deck. Weird. Both decks performed fine. I would have preferred to have packed different decks had I known that that was going to go down. And I would have packed like a couple of other things, like to make the aesthetic cool, some crystals, whatever. Now, segue. I usually have a section where I talk about shopping, but we're just going to like, it's all getting thrown into one thing. I I have a video where I pack a tarot bag, and that's kind of the little tarot bag that I've been using. It's a makeup bag. I'll link it wherever it ends up. But ultimately, that's not enough for me right now. If I'm going away just myself, if I'm going away for a weekend to my grandma's up north or whatever, it's great. But if I want to be reading for a bunch of people, like I'm going away to a girls' weekend next weekend, and that bag's not going to be enough. That little makeup bag is not going to be enough for all my things. So I found this bag on Amazon. It was 35 Canadian. Um, I just love it's like got celestial things happening. There's like a whole whack of pockets. So this can hold a lot of decks. It's actually what's brought down all of my decks here to do all my filming. So inside is a giant pocket. There's 2 little pockets on the inside and then a zipper pocket. It also has like the clips for you to do like a shoulder bag, a big shoulder bag, and the strap is somewhere. I don't know where I put it. It's got a big zip at the back. In the front, we've got this little zip. We've got this pocket, which has my incense in it right now. And we've got this zipper pocket, which has my pouch that keeps my microphone and stuff in it that I'm using. This little pouch. And then there's 2 side pockets. So that's going to be my new travel tarot bag, and I'm super pleased with it. I've used it multiple times. I've actually used it more just in my own house, because when I read tarot, I read it on the main level of my house now. I used to read it in my room, which I still do, like in my bed sometimes, but like there's things that I want to have like a more official feel and setting to. I load up the bag and bring it downstairs, and I load it all back up and bring it up. And that's what I did today with all of my stuff. So it worked out really well. I'm really glad that I purchased that. So another thing, I got the idea for this in April, but I never actually started working on it until May. I have so many tarot decks, and I feel like I haven't really developed personal relationships with any of them. And that hurts me. That makes me sad. Like, I wish I had a deck I could go to where I'm like, there's a couple, like, I do have a deck that I would go to that's like, I feel like she gets me. Yes, I personified my deck. But for the most part, like with the Game of Thrones tarot, I don't know when to use that deck. Even my Plaidback RWS, like I just use that one when I'm feeling lazy and I don't want to like, I don't know, interpret the cards differently than maybe a Game of Thrones deck, whatever. So I wanted to make this like ritual practice for myself to use with most, if not all, of my decks, and as well as new decks that come into my space, where I set aside X number of days. Initially, I was thinking 10, but we'll bounce back to that. And I want to start off minimal. So like a one card question, and then do the one card question for 2 or 3 days. And also maybe day one is just edging the deck. Put the deck back in order if it's not a brand new deck and edge it. And then that would be day one. And then day two, okay, I'm going to ask one question. What what's my vibe for today going to be? Whatever. And then I kind of work on a one question pull for the next 2 days. And then the next day after that, the day after that, I'll progress to like a 3 card pull or a 2 to 3 card pull. And then after that, we'll graduate again. So going up and going up to day 10, where it's a more complex spread. So I wanted to do kind of like the same idea that I did with my little spread book. So have spreads in here, but they have to be specific types of spreads. So, okay, well, that's a bad example. So like the clueless spread, I wouldn't put the clueless spread in this particular book because that's not a spread I'm going to do all the time. So it has to be stuff that could pertain to every day. And I wouldn't get sick of it. I wouldn't get sick of asking these questions over and over again. So what I did, this is a Happy Planner cover and Happy Planner rings from, it's upside down because I used the other side, 2017. So I wanted it to be one that I could lay flat, not one that's like this. That's the one thing I don't love about this one is that it doesn't, like I can't let it sit open. So I wanted it to be able to sit open and I wanted to be able to make it smaller if I need to. So you get the gist, right? So I used a recycled Happy Planner from 2017. Then I went to Staples and I got cardstock paper, which I regret doing because it is too thick. Like it's hard to grab just one sheet of paper at a time. But I did want it to be thick because I wanted it to withstand being turned multiple times. But then I reinforced the edge with washi tape. So I have all these like celestial washi tapes that were perfect. And then I used the washi or the Happy Planner puncher. So this one, 85 daily questions to ask your tarot cards. I came across this on Pinterest. You had to sign up for the company's newsletter or whatever, but it breaks it down to best self, self-love, self-care, open heart, help others, good vibes, carpe diem, learn, goals, spirit, let go, affirm, and true self. So these are good one card thingies. Great. So I've got 85 of those that I can work with. Then we get into, so tarot card spreads. Here's 1 to 2 cards. Fantastic. We got a 3 card and it lists a whole bunch of different options for the 3 card. Another 3 card, Good Morning Sunshine, 3 card, lots of 3 cards. Holy crap, lots of 3 card spreads. Ooh, one just blew away that I did not glue yet. What am I manifesting at the moment? Holy, there's lots of 3 cards. I don't think I realized how many 3 card spreads I have in here. Still on 3 cards. Okay, so then there's some where I also throw in an oracle. There's a couple of these spreads. And I thought that these were good as well because it shows how the deck works when paired with something else. So there's a couple of those in here. Then we get to more complicated ones. So here's some 4 card. Cozy Day Tarot Spread. Let it in, out, go, rest. Here's another one with an oracle card. What do I need to know? 6 cards Self-Care. And we've got a basic shadow spread, which this isn't going to be one that I use every single time because you're not going to do shadow spreads all the time. At least I don't. I like to let things simmer and work on it. But I thought that would be a good one to have in here. Then we get to a 7-card tarot chakra spread. But what I noticed, so I did do this month, and I used the Sasrabido tarot because I felt like it's one that I haven't used a lot. since purchasing it. I used it for the first like week and I felt that I really connected with it. But then, I don't know what happened. I just stopped using it. So I thought the Sacerdote would be a great deck to start with. But I started on a weekend. And when it's a weekend, I find I have more time to dedicate to more complex spreads, readings, whatever. So I hit the ground running. I think I started with a 4-card spread because it was a weekend and I had time to dedicate and journal and all that jazz. But then I went to work on Monday and it was like I was rushed in the morning. I'm not a morning person. I will not wake up early to pull tarot cards. It's not happening. So then I kind of reverted back to the 1 card. So I kind of that kind of threw me off. Like I kind of wasn't really expecting that to happen. So I felt kind of like I was bouncing back and forth between a more complex and then I went back to basics and whatever. But I also found that in here there weren't specific ones, which is what I said about this book, is that they were too specific. But it was just there were things that were happening throughout my week that I wanted to do a reading on. And they weren't in here because why would they be? Like, how would I know that something specific would happen? Whatever. So I was using Pinterest anyway. I was going to Pinterest to look for spreads that pertain to specific scenarios or whatever. So I kind of didn't really use this too much. I'm a little disappointed, not in myself, just in all the effort that I went through and how I had this like mental plan and this mental vision of how it was going to go, and it didn't go that way. But so I journal it, which I forgot my journal upstairs, no big deal. But I would journal every single day. And then what I did was at the end of the day, I would go back and say, was this accurate? Like, how do I feel this reading was? And a lot of time, I think there was like twice where I was like, I have no idea what this reading was meaning. Like none of this happened today. None of it didn't happen, but it could just be something that I didn't have my eyes open to or whatever. But it only happened like twice. And then there were some that were like insanely scary accurate. Um, yeah, so the Sacerdote, overall I liked it. I did actually go past the 10 days. I don't think 10 days is enough. So I think I did 12 days. Um, and I meant to go to 14, but then I just stopped after 12 days. I don't know why. I think I just got lazy. So that's something that I've done, and that's something that I'm going to continue to do. There was a couple spreads that I did that kind of require like down the line checking in. Like let's go back and look at this spread and see how accurate this spread was a month from now. So I will have to do that. But I enjoyed it. It was really fun. I'm surprised I stuck with it for the 12 days in a row that I did. There were a couple times where I did forget in the morning. I think this happened twice. I forgot in the morning. So then I just looked up on Pinterest a before bed spread. So I have a couple of those that I really liked. Yeah. So that's that. That was my big crafty. Well, no, I did do something else crafty this month. And I think this is our last category. Yeah. I'm just checking my notes. So I want to get more into using a pendulum. I have one. It's a dragon's blood. It's a beautiful green, but I've never used it. I have a book on pendulums and I've never even cracked the sucker open, nothing. So I've been seeing these pendulum boards that people make, and I have a wood burning kit because of course I do. I am the queen of starting these crafty things and then never following through. So if you need something, I have it. So I have a wood burning kit. And for a long time, I wasn't certain what I wanted to put in the center of my pendulum board. Like I had an eye, I had a bee because I love bees, but nothing felt right. Like it wasn't feeling like I wanted it to feel. And I was wanting to get started on this. I was wanting to do it, but I couldn't find something. I was looking on Pinterest, all that jazz. And then all of a sudden it dawned on me, a coyote. Like, duh, a coyote. And I loved the idea. I was like, that is perfect. So this is not an original idea. This is someone else. So this is someone else's artwork that I just used. I'm not selling it. It's just for personal use. So it's my understanding that that's legal. But this is the end result. Where are we here? Okay. And I love it so, so, so much. Cover my face up. It just worked out so well. And I wanted to put like rephrase or maybe, but I actually don't think I like that. I'll just have to know that when the pendulum goes into one of those areas that I need to ask again, or maybe the answer is maybe, I don't know. But it turned out so well, and I'm so pleased with it, and I've hardly used it. But it is fairly new. Like it's not even a month old. So yeah, this is pretty cool. I think I might bring this for my girls' weekend, maybe. I don't know. With being so new to a pendulum, I'm not sure. Maybe it's a good idea to do it with friends. But yeah, so I'm pretty proud of this. And it is traced. So I did take a wood burning course, and this is how I was taught to do it. So you have an image that you like, you print it out on a piece of paper, and then you tape the piece of paper to the wood, but you put a piece of carbon underneath it, and then you trace over the image, and then when you lift it up, you've got the carbon underneath, the carbon image underneath, and then a squirrel just like fantastically leaped into another tree. They shock me all the time. And then you burn the carbon image that you just traced. So that's why it looks as good. I'm not that good. Trust me, I'm not that good. But anyway, that was my crafty crafterson for May. Now we'll take a look at the decks. I was kind enough to be gifted some decks this month or in the month of May. So that's never happened before. So this is really exciting. So I'll be showing you the decks that I was gifted first. Sounded like there was people talking in my backyard. Oh, that's because there is someone right there. We back on to like a no trespassing property. There's clearly someone trespassing. God, I wish I had cojones. Um, so we'll start with the 4 decks that I was gifted, and then we'll get into the 4 decks that I purchased. So we've got 8 decks total, right? 6 of them are tarot and 2 oracles. It was a big month for decks. It was a very big month for decks, and I don't care anymore. I mean, 4 of them were free, 4 of them were gifted, and the other 4, um, 1, 2, oh, okay, so 3 of the 4 that I got were regularly priced. Usually I try and get things on sale, but I was impatient this month, okay? All right, we are outside still. And I just had to take advantage of this weather and all that jazz. So I stayed outside for the top down portion. And you can see my lovely picnic mat that's brand new from Mountain Warehouse. It's got like plastic on the underside. So it kind of sounds like a diaper every time I move, but I'm hoping that this mic won't pick that up. So if you hear diaper noises, I promise it's not a diaper. So I'm going to start with the decks that I was gifted. There is 3 tarot and 1 oracle. The first 2 tarot are very, very similar. The first one being the Spiral Tarot. So this one, I was kind of unsure if I was going to keep it or not because of the borders. It's like this weird, I don't know, tie-dye kind of situation. I don't know. But I kind of like it. It does give the vibe. This is like Van Gogh vibes. It does give the vibe that I'm looking for, that 90s feel. And I don't know. I like it. I'm not a huge fan of the borders. This is the one card that like sold me on this deck. Once I saw this card, I was like, I'm not getting rid of it. Some of them are not amazing. Like this one I don't particularly enjoy. I mean, I get it with like the sepia, the old timey, I get it. But yeah, I don't know. So when was this one published? This says 1997. 97 for this date. That's amazing. So yes, this one is staying for now. I haven't used this one yet, like at all. Um, so it, ultimately it will depend on its performance if I keep it or not. But I definitely want to have like a 90s, late 90s, early 2000s themed pick a card video for my tarot friends. Totally doing it. Now, the one thing that I don't love about that, so cool, is that this deck is so similar to the next deck. So I'm going to keep it out just so that we have it at the ready. The next one, now let me get the date ready as well. This says, it says 2004 and then comma 2007. So I'm not sure which it is, but it's the Celestial Tarot. So the size is a bit different on this one. It's a little bit longer. I like the backs. And this one I was always going to be keeping because I really like all of the information contained, the planetary, the zodiac, and then does it also have the Hebrew? Is this one that has the Hebrew, or is it this? No, this one has the Hebrew. Which I know nothing about. Like I'm just learning astrological and planetary symbols. Like I couldn't even identify them. I don't even know Mars. Yes, that one's Mars. And that is Scorpio. Nope. It's the one that looks like Scorpio, but it's not Scorpio because Scorpio has whatever. See? And I certainly don't know Hebrew. So that was one of the reasons why, and I love also the titles that help you out as well. That's one of the reasons why I decided to keep this deck. But if we're gonna do the like 90s, here, let's get a different chunk going so you can see different ones. If we're gonna do the 90s pick a card, I just feel like these guys, I don't know, maybe not. Yeah, I guess it's all right. They're not too similar. Oh, just so good. I feel like the art looks very similar in the way that the art is done. But yeah, the purple border and the mosquito just bit me and did not survive to tell the tale. The purple border and the blue border help to distinguish, I think. So it's not too bad. Maybe I will do that then. Yeah. Enjoy. But again, I have not worked with the Celestial Tarot either as of yet. So it'll also, I was going to say it'll depend on its performance, but no, I do think this is a good learning deck for me to have. So I think the Celestial Tarot will always stay. Another deck, this is going to be in the 90s one as well. What's the date on this guy? 2007. It's the Fantastical Creatures Tarot. I love the backs. I just love them. I don't so much love the. I was going to say I don't so much love the art, but yeah, no, I do. It's very similar to the other ones. It's got all these weird creatures in it. This is another one that sold me on it. So super cute, and they're all in such great condition. And they're all filling that late 90s, early 2000s craving that I'm having for tarot, which I don't know where that's coming from. I did not practice tarot back in those days. I'm very, on the grand scheme of things, new to tarot. So I just started basically in 2020. So these decks, like it's not like I remember these decks being around or anything like that. I didn't, tarot was not even on my radar back then. So maybe that's why I'm craving it. I want piece of the history of tarot. I want to be included in the late 90s, early 2000s art style of the tarot. Oh, there's a bird fight happening in the cedars right next to me. So those are my late 90s, early 2000s kicks. Now, the oracle that was gifted to me, this one was an initial no for me. And I love the art. We'll see why. This is the oracle that was gifted to me. So it's one of those ones where it's got the image, but then wording on the back. I'm obsessed with the images. I love them so, so much. But I'm not a fan of this kind of situation, right? So it was an immediate no. And then when this card, I don't know, makes me feel a little uncomfortable. I think it's contortionist or something. Yeah, makes sense. When I started looking at them and reading the affirmations, I'm also not an affirmation deck person, if we're being honest. I don't like affirmation decks. But when I started going through it, and I did use it with my friends in a pick a card video, I was just like, ooh, you know what? And I don't even use the book. The book is still in the box here, but I just find that the message is enough. Ooh, the traumatized. Wow, that is a good one. So, yeah, I'm keeping it. The benefactor. Gosh, it's just so great. So this is another one that I am adding to my collection. Adding to my shelf. I don't like saying collection. Shelf. Adding to my shelf. Now for the ones that I bought myself. Let's go in order that I made the purchases. So I did talk about this one on Instagram. I think I posted an Instagram reel. It's the Cat Tarot. This deck, I don't know where I saw it. I saw it somewhere. I came across it. I think I was looking for late 90s, early 2000s tarot decks, and somehow this came up. It's not old. I think it's like 2021. I'm pretty sure it's 2020, 2021. But it just made me laugh so much. First of all, look at the backs. Hilarious. And Da Vinci is in this deck somewhere. It was the fastest edging I have ever done. Like, I've never edged a deck so fast. It immediately, like, I opened the box and started edging. This this is the card that I saw online, and it just made me laugh so much. Okay, that's an exaggeration. It made me chuckle. Um, but I didn't realize that it was all like pop culture. Obviously, when I saw the alien one, I realized it was pop culture. But it's all like there's so many pop culture references in here. There's a lot that I don't know, but there's a lot that you do know, and there's a lot that are very common and very like new age. Like the new Alice in Wonderland is in here with Johnny Depp. And there's some Harry Potter in here. Why am I getting all the ones I don't know? Okay, let's go through. Oh, Aslan, Dracula, Mulder. Oh my god, it's just so funny. This is amazing. I haven't, oh, here's Da Vinci. I haven't really used it that much. Um, Freddie Mercury, Little Mermaid, but there's Star Wars, Barbra Streisand. It's so, I don't know. I'm not even a cat person. And it's just so funny. I couldn't not get it. This was not on sale. Out of all the decks I purchased, oh wait, I was going to say this is the only one that wasn't on sale. That's a lie. Here we have our Johnny Depp. Now I'm second guessing. I just wanted it. Usually I wait until decks go on sale before I buy them, as a rule for myself. But especially on Amazon, like there's always something, even if it's just like 9% off. Here's our Star Wars. Marilyn Monroe, Jack the Ripper, Frodo Baggins, okay? And oh, here he is. Well, of course, the very last one, Harry Potter. But yeah, I did not wait for this to go on sale. I hit purchase so fast, and I'm not even ashamed. But I also have yet to use that one. I forgot to mention, what do I have in the ones that I purchased? One, two, three. There's 4 decks total that I purchased myself. We've got a theme here. 3 tarot and 1 oracle. The next tarot deck that I purchased, this was a purchase that I made, and I don't regret it, but I was craving that like old school kind of feeling. So I got the John Bauer tarot, and like this card is what sold me on this deck. I think it's just the most adorable. The backs are fairly abrasive, especially when you look at the aesthetic of the front. I talked about this in a video that I posted. I think the last video that I posted, you look at the aesthetic and this is what you see. And then you flip it over and it doesn't make any sense to me. Like, I don't mind the backs. They're fine. I mean, the colors are kind of a weird combo, but they somehow work. But I just I don't know who made that decision. But anyway, so I also have not used this deck yet. I do love it. I think it's adorable. I do not know any of the stories behind, actually, we'll put that aside. I don't know any of the stories behind these photos, these pictures. I think it's the sweetest strength card ever. But I like that there's like trolls and I did read about, I know something about that story. I also don't think the Fool necessarily goes with the rest of the deck. But anyway, it's not a big deal. Anyway, here we go. That's another one. Yeah, I just wanted this like old school feel, and I liked all of the trolls. I thought they were super cute. I think that's the same. The reason I'm setting some cards aside, there's another troll, is because I did start to research some of the stories. And some people really didn't like this Hanged Man, and I'm fine with it. More trolls. The Truth and Story, Kelly at the Truth and Story does a great review of this deck. Loved it. So I did start to look up some of the stories. And this is oh my gosh. Tuvstar, I think. Princess Truvstar or Tuvstar. And I wanted to know the association, like why was this person picked for, why was this story picked? And I regretted it. I didn't even read the rest of the story because I didn't like the direction the story was going. And I think it was starting to pull me out of like my understanding of the High Priestess and this card as well. I'm pretty sure I didn't make it far enough in this story, but I'm pretty sure I think she makes an appearance quite a bit throughout the deck. But again, I'm guessing because I didn't finish the story because I didn't want it to tarnish my view of the card. Here, I can make up a story in my head about what's going on in this card and why this card was chosen for the High Priestess. I can totally make that up. If I read the story and know the truth, then I know the truth behind it, it might ruin it for me. So I stopped reading the story. And I don't think I'm going to do any other ones. I don't think I'm going to be researching any of the other stories throughout this deck. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. If you know the story of Princess Tubestar, let me know if it's safe for me to read it. Because it started to feel like it was going in a dark direction, in a not so great direction, and I wanted no part of that. Okay, the next tarot deck, and this is the most recent one. We're kind of going out of order here, but it's because I wanted to do all tarot first and then my oracle. And it's not in its box because it's one of the big Llewellyn boxes that I hate. It's the Gilded Tarot Royale. And this deck was kind of a whim purchase. I keep it in my Goddess Provisions magnetic box. I think it's perfect. Did I get them all? Yes. See? Ask and you shall receive. Love it. So, this was kind of a Thea made me do it. Kind of. And I say that because, like I said, I've been craving those weird tarot decks, like the older tarot decks. I wasn't so much craving the high color campy decks, which is what a lot of Chiaro Marchetti's decks are. But then something happened, and here we are. So there is a jet that is so loud, and I'm hoping this mic is cutting it out because I feel like I have to yell. So I was looking. Oh my god. That was so loud. I live really close to an airport, and that was insanely loud. That was a very low plane. And I totally lost my train of thought. But anyway, so yeah, now I'm also all about the campy decks. The super bright, the super cheesy. I don't like the wands though. The wands, no. We're just gonna leave it at that. Um, I did want the oh, Grand Lux. I had gone through so many YouTube videos about the differences between the Gilded Tarot Royale and the Grand Lux, and ultimately I decided I wanted the Grand Lux. But then I was in a local metaphysical store and they had this one in stock on the shelf and I bought it. Am I going to get the Grand Lux? I don't know. I do like the Grand Lux better. I don't know if it's something that I will end up getting instead, or as well, not instead, in addition to owning this one, because they're pretty similar. So yeah, whatever, it happened. But what's been interesting about this deck is that I want to use it all the time. This has become my go-to deck at the moment. I'm ignoring every other deck that I own to use this guy. And it's been so accurate. This card also is very distracting. If you know, you know. We're not going to talk about it. If you see what I see, congratulations. We think the same way. You are my people. So I've been enjoying this deck so much. So much. Now, question for the masses. I want to edge it. My initial thought was to use like the blue that's in there or the blue that's in there. And then I saw someone else had edged it in like this kind of blue, that kind of area, and I didn't like it. The other option I had for edging, and we gotta get real close and personal, is like the brown in the ropes or whatever they are. So I think I want to edge it in brown, but it just doesn't. I think it would look good like from this angle, like this business, but then when you go this way, does brown make sense? Because it's so colorful. Like the blue would look great from this angle, but the brown would look great from this angle. So I can't decide. The other thing I wanted to mention about this deck, I absolutely love it when you catch an error before you filmed your entire video. So we are back in focus. The other thing I wanted to mention about the Gilded Tarot Royale is that there is a wicked, I'm exaggerating. Wow, I'm doing that a lot today. There's a fantastic tarot spread for like daily stuff. It's on page, well, it starts on 205. 205 has the spread. We're not going to show you everything here. But, and for purposes of copyright or whatever, I'm going to read it off screen. So it's a 5-card daily spread, and the categories, so card 1 is works, card 2 is home, card 3 is unexpected, card 4 is your role, card 5 is outcome. So works pertains to things that you accomplish in a day, whether at a job or personal tasks. Home it reflects people and activities connected with your home and home life. Unexpected indicates a surprise and unexpected events. Your role represents your mood, actions, or reactions to events and people that fill your day. And outcome shows the outcome of the day, often predicts a lesson learned or a spiritual revelation. So that's pretty cool. I don't normally pay too much attention to the Llewellyn books. I should. I don't know. I don't know why. But anyway, I found that spread really cool. The last deck that I purchased, and it's our Oracle deck, our last Oracle deck here, is the Oracle of the Radiant Sun. So this deck and I have a bit of a tumultuous history. When I first started getting into tarot and oracle, it was on my list. It was in my wish list on my Chapters Indigo shopping cart for a very long time. And I ultimately didn't buy it. And I am so glad I didn't. The reason I didn't buy it at the time was because I've only taken out half of the deck. So it's not whatever. I didn't like the color aesthetic and I didn't like the art. That's why I didn't buy it. I had no clue what this deck was about. And I don't know how I didn't know because I always do like YouTube unboxings and I always research and whatever. I just thought it was like a keyword oracle deck, but it just looked a little bizarre to me. So I never bought it. And I'm so glad that I didn't because I would have been incredibly overwhelmed with it and I wouldn't have wanted to use it in the way that it's meant for just because I was not there with my astrological knowledge, but also my desire to learn about astrology. This deck is it's so warped. It's not even funny. Like, I don't know if you can tell. Anyway, not a big deal. But I finally decided that I wanted it. I wanted to learn the astrological associations and blah, blah, blah. And I ordered it off Chapters Indigo. I've discussed this before back in January. The delivery date was supposed to be February 10th. Then they got cyber hacked. It was delayed. Long story short, I ended up having to cancel the order twice. It just wasn't happening. And when I called to cancel it the last time, I was like, I don't know why this hasn't been shipped to me or what the issue is, but I just want to cancel my order. And the lady was like, oh, I know why. It's because it's out of stock. We don't have it. So then I was like, okay, fine, it's not meant to be. Then, like several weeks later, I decided that I actually did still want it. And I went to Chapters Indigo, still out of stock. Then I went to Amazon, out of stock. And then I panicked, thinking it was going out of print, which it may still be because it's still not stocked up on Chapters Indigo. And last time I checked Amazon, it was out of stock as well, still. So I don't know. I don't know. Do what you will with that information. Maybe I'm completely wrong now. I don't know. But I ended up having to go to eBay to get this deck, and I did pay a little more for it subsequently, but not too much. So it's not a big deal. I'm not like overly upset, but I'm really pleased with this deck. I've been reading this, I've been making my notes. I absolutely love it. I did I think it was I watched a YouTube video and now I can't remember who it was that did this, but they were giving ideas about how to use the deck. And what they said was to go through your astrology chart and, like, okay, so my sun is in Aquarius. So I found the sun card and Aquarius. So that would be the beginning. And then where Mars is, where all the planets are. So this deck doesn't have all of the planets. I can't remember which ones, but it doesn't have all of them. And then you associate where all the planets are and what astrological sign for your astrology chart. And it was super interesting. It was very cool. Only one card I felt was off. And it was something, I have something in Scorpio and I can't remember what it is, but it wasn't really me. So other than that, it was really cool to do that. So that's my deck haul. Uh, my impromptu, this is like covered in pollen. My impromptu deck haul in the backyard. And yeah, now back to our regularly scheduled programming. So that's that. This concludes my May. And I decided to do it outside because why not? It's a stunning day. It's not 35 degrees like it was a couple days ago. It's just a perfect day. And now, oh, there's a spider on me. He is tiny. Oh, he's holding on for dear life. Sorry. Now I'm gonna go inside and eat some pizza. We're gonna do that. Enjoy your day, and I'll see you when I see you. Thank you for hanging out with me.